AITA for taking back the engagement ring after my fiancée kept her ex's necklace? I, a 29-year-old man, met Qley, 26, about 2 years ago. Looking back on it now, the red flags were there from the very first date. She always wanted to go to expensive restaurants, the kind where the appetizers cost more than what most people spend on an entire meal. She never offered to split the bill, not even for casual coffees, and had very strong opinions about keeping up appearances and projecting success. She constantly posted on social media about living her best life, while clearly struggling to make ends meet. But she was also incredible in many other ways: smart, funny, great in bed, and seemed to genuinely care about my career and long-term goals. I figured she was just high maintenance, maybe a little spoiled, but nothing I couldn't handle with my income and patience. About 6 months into our relationship, I started to notice she always wore a delicate gold locket around her neck. Always. And when I say always, I mean literally at all times. Showering, at the gym, sleeping, during intimate moments. It seemed permanently attached to her like an expensive medical device. When I casually asked her about it one quiet morning, she got weird and deflected immediately. "It's just jewelry, babe. Nothing special or significant." Fair enough, I thought. Everyone has sentimental pieces they prefer to always wear, and I didn't want to seem like the controlling boyfriend questioning every accessory. I respected her privacy and assumed she'd tell me when she was ready. Fast forward 18 months, and I was seriously looking for an engagement ring with the help of my sister and my mom. I had managed to save about $16,000 over the course of our relationship because Qley had very specific tastes and didn't hesitate to show me Instagram posts of engagement rings that cost more than most people's cars. She had very firm opinions on the cut, the setting, the bandwidth, and even which jewelers were acceptable for such an important purchase. I spent weeks researching, visiting different jewelry stores, and even had custom consultations to get everything perfect. I was nervous as hell, but genuinely excited about the idea of proposing. We had been seriously talking about moving in together, maybe buying a house in the suburbs, starting a family in a few years, the whole traditional domestic dream I had always wanted. The proposal happened at a trendy rooftop restaurant she had been posting and hinting about for weeks. I went all out. I hired a photographer to hide in the crowd and capture candid moments. I arranged to have her favorite white roses placed on every table. I coordinated with the staff to have our special song playing in the background. I even had the waiter bring out champagne at the exact right moment. She said yes, enthusiastic and emotional, with tears streaming down her face. And within hours, the professionally shot video was already going viral on her TikTok account with thousands of likes and comments. She was absolutely on cloud nine, posting nonstop about being engaged to her successful sales executive and planning what she called the wedding of the century. But that mysterious locket never came off, not even when she was showing everyone her custom engagement ring. The devastating revelation happened in the most unexpected and random way possible. We were spending Saturday evening at a trendy gastropub downtown with Qley and her younger sister, Haley, celebrating Haley's 24th birthday. Good food, live acoustic music, the kind of vibe that encouraged conversation and relaxation. My best friend Blake was with me, and he was already on his third soda, getting more talkative with Haley, who was equally relaxed and loose-lipped after the celebration and the general excitement of the night. Everything was going perfectly. Good food, funny stories, everyone getting along. The conversation flowed naturally. Work anecdotes, dating experiences, family gossip, the usual birthday dinner stuff. Haley was in that oversharing mode younger siblings sometimes get into, especially when they're the center of attention and feeling particularly social. She had been telling embarrassing stories about Qley's childhood, and we were all laughing and having a great time. "I still can't believe you wear Damon's locket everywhere," Haley said suddenly, loud enough for our entire table and probably the neighboring tables to hear. "I mean, you're engaged to Jordan now. Isn't that a little weird and inappropriate?" The table fell completely silent. You could hear plates and glasses clinking in the kitchen across the restaurant. Blake's eyes went wide and he looked at me with that unmistakable, "Oh no, here we go" expression I'd seen 1,000 times in awkward situations about to blow up. "Damon?" I asked, trying my best to sound casual and controlled, while feeling my stomach drop and my heart pound. "Her ex-boyfriend," Haley continued, completely oblivious to the tension that had just descended on the table like a heavy blanket. They dated for like 4 years in college, and after they graduated, he gave her that locket for their 3rd anniversary, right before he moved to San Francisco for a big tech job. She's literally worn it every single day since, even through other relationships. Qley looked like she wanted to lunge across the table and physically strangle her sister. I felt genuinely dizzy and nauseous. Blake, being Blake and having zero filter when he smelled drama, dove headfirst into the conversation. Wait, hold on a minute. You've been wearing your ex-boyfriend's jewelry for your entire relationship with Jordan while getting engaged and planning a wedding. Girl, that is messed up on so many levels. It's not like that at all. Qley snapped defensively, her face red. It's just a piece of jewelry. It doesn't mean anything special. A piece of jewelry you literally never take off your body, I said, finally finding my voice despite feeling like I was going to be sick. From your ex-boyfriend of 4 years. Damon is ancient history. I don't even talk to him. I haven't in over a year. Blake laughed, that skeptical laugh he does when he knows someone is blatantly lying. Ancient history that you wear around your neck 24/7, right? Sure, that makes perfect sense and is completely normal. The rest of the night was incredibly awkward. We somehow managed to get through Haley's birthday dinner without causing a scene, but I was mentally cataloging and analyzing everything I had just learned. 4 years with this Damon guy, a locket she absolutely refused to take off under any circumstances, and she had lied about its significance for our entire relationship, even when I asked her directly several times. During the tense car ride home, I decided to bring it up again. So, the locket is from Damon. Jordan, please, don't turn this into a big deal. It's just jewelry. Jewelry you never take off, not even during intimate moments, from your ex-boyfriend of 4 years. Can you understand why that might bother me? She immediately went on the total defensive, which honestly surprised me given how calm and collected she usually was. She started yelling that I was being insecure and controlling. She accused me of not trusting her and repeated about 100 times in different ways that it was just a necklace. But when I asked her to simply take it off as a gesture of respect for our relationship, the answer was an immediate and absolute no. I shouldn't have to change who I am or erase parts of my history just because you're jealous. Wearing your ex-boyfriend's jewelry isn't who you are, Qley. It's a choice you make every day. It's part of my story. You can't just erase my past or expect me to pretend it didn't exist. We argued for hours that night, going around in circles and getting nowhere. She absolutely refused to budge on the issue or even consider a compromise. She said that if I truly loved her and wanted to marry her, I had to accept all of her, including her complicated history. That's when I decided that history was indeed incredibly important, but that was a game two could play. The next morning, I called Blake before work to discuss my developing plan. Dude, you have to hear the strategy I'm putting together, I told him when he answered. If this is about the dinner disaster last night, I already told you. That's completely wrong and inappropriate. Who keeps an ex's jewelry in a new relationship? Can you meet me for lunch today? I need to run something by you and get your opinion. We met at a sandwich shop we'd been going to since college. One of those casual places where you can have private conversations without worrying about being overheard. Blake took one look at me and knew immediately I was up to something serious. Oh man, you have that look. The same look you had when you outsmarted that shady car salesman senior year. The one who tried to screw you with hidden fees. What are you planning? I explained my strategy in detail. Blake's eyes lit up like a kid on Christmas morning as he understood the implications. Brother, this is absolutely brilliant on so many levels, and also incredibly petty in the best possible way. I love everything about this plan. Here's what I decided to do. That afternoon, I called my dad about my late grandmother's jewelry collection. She had been quite a collector in her life. Nothing extremely valuable or museum-worthy, but beautiful antique pieces that had been sitting in a safe deposit box at the local bank since she passed away 3 years ago. I had full legal access, as I was meant to inherit most of the collection eventually. Dad, I want to put Qley's engagement ring with Grandma's collection for safekeeping. You know, family tradition and all that. That's pretty unusual, son. Is everything all right with you too? I just want to honor the family traditions and keep the heirlooms together where they belong. He gave me all the information and account details. That evening, While Kelsey was at her regular yoga class across town, I carefully removed the ring from her jewelry box where she kept it when she wasn't wearing it. It was $16,000 of custom-designed, perfect princess-cut diamond that I had poured months of planning, selecting, and saving into. Blake came with me to the bank for moral support and to document everything. We photographed every detail, the ring going into the box, the official receipt, the time, the locking mechanism. Blake was genuinely having fun with every second of the operation, making jokes about corporate espionage. This is either going to be legendary and talked about for years, or she's going to completely lose her mind and maybe murder you in your sleep, he said while taking videos on his phone for evidence. When Kelsey got home from yoga, I was cooking dinner like nothing had happened. I kissed her on the cheek and saw the locket catching the warm kitchen light, hanging around her neck as always. Smells delicious, honey. What are we having? Thanks. Hey, I was thinking about what you said last night about history and honoring the past. She immediately became cautious and suspicious. Yeah, what about it? You were totally right. History is incredibly important and it shapes who we are. So I've decided to honor my family's traditions as well. What traditions? What are you saying? Well, in my family, engagement rings are kept in the family vault until the wedding day. It's an old tradition my grandmother established decades ago. She laughed, but it sounded forced and nervous. What? No, that's not a thing. Your sister wore her ring for her entire engagement. That's different. That's the other side of the family with other traditions. This is a specific tradition from my grandmother on my mom's side. Since her jewelry collection will eventually be yours after we get married, we have to respect her wishes. Jordan, what are you talking about exactly? Where's my ring? In the family safe deposit box with the other heirlooms. Don't worry, you'll get it back on our wedding day. Her face went through about 10 different emotions in 5 seconds. You took my ring without asking me. I secured our family heirloom in the same way you secure your sentimental jewelry, I said, pointing to the locket on her neck. Both pieces have enormous emotional value from the past. Both deserve protection and respect. That is completely different, and you know it. How exactly is it different? Your locket has sentimental value from your past relationship. The ring has sentimental value from my family's past. Both are pieces of history that shaped who we are today. She demanded I get the ring back immediately. I calmly explained that the bank was already closed for the day, and besides, it was an important family tradition that had to be respected. You wouldn't want me to disrespect my grandmother's memory and final wishes, would you? She grabbed her phone and called my dad to verify the story. Dad, bless his heart, played his part perfectly after I had filled him in on the full backstory earlier that day. Oh yes, dear. Very important family tradition going back generations. I'm so glad Jordan remembered and followed through with it properly. His grandmother would be incredibly proud. Kelsey hung up, looking completely defeated for the first time since I'd known her. The next few days were tense and awkward, but I was just getting started with my plan. You see, I had a significant advantage that Kelsey didn't know about. I'm a sales manager who specializes in detailed research and data analysis for client acquisition, and my best friend works in finance where thorough background checks and due diligence investigations are a routine part of the job. Blake came over that Thursday evening with his work laptop and a dead serious expression. All right, man. Time for some serious digital detective work. You absolutely ready for this? He asked. I need to know exactly what I'm dealing with here. Then let's find out everything, he replied. We started with a deep dive into her social media using professional-grade tools. Blake had access to investigative software from his firm that could pull data from public profiles, cross-reference information, and create detailed timelines in ways that would astonish most people. This wasn't the basic stuff regular people use. This was enterprise-level software designed for corporate investigations and fraud detection. Within an hour of focused searching, we had a complete timeline of Kelsey's online activity for the past 3 years, including deleted posts and archived content she thought was gone forever. The software could track photo metadata, identify location tags even when they were manually removed, and cross-reference social connections to build relationship maps. It was like having a digital time machine that could reconstruct someone's online life with forensic accuracy. Blake explained that investment firms use these tools to vet potential partners and look for red flags of financial instability or ethical issues. Damon was all over that digital trail, and I mean all over it. Not just old photos from their relationship. Recent likes, comments, captures of private stories she shared with close friends, tag locations that matched his posts. Blake had ways of accessing information most people don't even know exists. This Damon guy was still very much present and active in her digital life. "Look at this recent activity," Blake said, pointing at the screen with obvious excitement. He liked her promotion post last month. He commented "hot babe" with several hard eye emojis. My stomach dropped. He called her babe in public comments. It got much worse. He pulled up Damon's profile with a grim expression. "Look at his bio. Still thinking about my Texas girl." Posted just 2 weeks ago. But Blake wasn't even done with his investigation. "Remember how I told you I could run full financial checks? Well, your fiancé has been very busy behind the scenes." He pulled up detailed records showing Qley was absolutely drowning in debt. Maxed out credit cards, late payments everywhere, collection notices, a complete financial disaster. She was basically living paycheck to paycheck, desperately maintaining her expensive Instagram lifestyle through credit and deception. Blake's software showed she had 7 different credit cards, all maxed out, with minimum payments that added up to more than her monthly income from her marketing job. "It gets worse," Blake said, scrolling through more data. "She's applying for new cards every few months, probably doing balance transfers to keep everything afloat. Look at this pattern. Opens a new card, transfers balances, makes minimum payments for a few months, then maxes it out again. Classic debt spiral behavior. That BMW she drives is 3 months behind on lease payments and is facing repossession. That chic apartment is 2 months behind on rent plus late fees. Her student loans are in default. She even owes the dentist money. Dude, she's completely broke and has been for months." Then he showed me our shared phone records, since I paid for our family plan and had legal access to all the usage data. Hundreds of text messages to a San Francisco number over the last few months. Phone calls lasting hours at odd times. Always scheduled when I was at work, at the gym, or out with friends. "Want to guess whose number that is?" Blake asked with a knowing smirk. "Damon." She had been talking to Damon regularly for months while we were planning our wedding. "There's more," Blake said, clearly enjoying the investigation process. "Remember that work trip she took to San Francisco last month? The marketing conference she was so excited about." "Yeah. What about it?" He pulled up detailed flight records and hotel receipts that he had somehow accessed. The conference was scheduled at the downtown Marriott, according to her schedule, but she actually stayed at the Four Seasons in an expensive suite for 3 whole nights. "How do you know all this?" I asked. "Because Damon posted Instagram stories from the Four Seasons on the same nights, same room view, same room service layout. Identical everything. She used your joint card to fly to San Francisco and spend 3 days cheating on you with her ex-boyfriend, while you were at home working and planning the wedding." I felt like I had been physically punched. The betrayal was so complete and calculated that I had trouble breathing for a moment. "I am going to completely destroy her," I said in a low voice. Blake grinned with genuine enthusiasm. "Now you're speaking my language, brother." For the next week, I played the part of the perfect fiancé while systematically gathering evidence and building my case. Blake helped me document everything: photographs, screenshots, financial records, phone logs, social media archives, the entire digital trail. We built a comprehensive dossier like we were preparing for a federal prosecution. But I needed more than just evidence. I needed her to reveal her true character in front of witnesses who knew us both. The perfect opportunity presented itself at her friend Melissa's engagement party the following weekend. Melissa was marrying a successful lawyer from a wealthy family, and it was an elaborate affair at an exclusive country club outside the city. Qley had been talking about this party for weeks. She was incredibly excited to show off her engagement ring and flaunt our perfect relationship to all of her and our mutual friends. Except, of course, she had no ring to show off anymore. I watched in fascination as she came up with increasingly elaborate excuses throughout the evening. "It's getting professionally cleaned and inspected. Jordan wanted to add extra diamonds for the wedding. It's being resized to fit me perfectly because my fingers have been swelling." Each lie was more creative and desperate than the last. But the most telling part was watching her behavior and interactions with the other couples at this high society event. These people had real money, inheritances, trust funds, family businesses. And Kelsey was obviously and shamelessly sizing up and flirting with the men while their wives or girlfriends weren't looking. She spent 20 minutes in an inappropriately intimate conversation with an investment banker while his pregnant wife was in the bathroom dealing with morning sickness. Blake was discreetly documenting all of it on his phone, pretending to take casual party pictures, but actually recording her behavior patterns and inappropriate interactions. Then came the moment I had been waiting for all night. A woman I didn't recognize complimented Kelsey on her locket, asking about its obvious antique quality. "Oh, this old thing," Kelsey said, touching it with genuine fondness and affection. "It's from my ex-boyfriend. We dated for years, and he was incredibly important to me. He's doing so well for himself now. Works at a major tech company in San Francisco and makes a ton of money. We still keep in regular contact, and he's doing great." She said this at her friend's engagement party, while I was standing less than 10 feet away, clearly within earshot. Blake gave me a discreet nudge. Did she just? Yes, she absolutely did. I knew with absolute certainty in that moment exactly how this was going to end. I waited until we were safely back at home to make my final move. Kelsey was still energized and buzzing from the party, talking excitedly about all the important connections she made and how impressed people seemed to be with her sophisticated lifestyle. "That was absolutely amazing," she said, kicking off her expensive heels and sitting on the couch. "Did you see how jealous Rebecca got when I told her about your upcoming promotion and our plans for a European honeymoon?" I had no promotion coming, and we had never discussed a European honeymoon. She had invented both details for social clout. "Kelsey, we need to have a very serious conversation right now." Something in my voice made her freeze completely. "About what?" I pulled out my laptop and opened the comprehensive folder Blake and I had been building for over a week. "About Damon and your ongoing relationship with him." Her face went completely white, then red, then white again. "I honestly don't know what you're talking about." "Oh, you don't?" "Because I have detailed call logs showing you've spoken to him for over 60 hours in the last 2 months. I have your credit card statements proving you stayed at the Four Seasons during your conference in San Francisco. I have screenshots of his social media posts about his Texas girl and your public comments calling him babe." She tried to deny it at first, then minimize and downplay the evidence. "It's not what you think. We're just old friends catching up sometimes. Friends who book luxury hotel suites and spend 3 days together alone. Nothing inappropriate happened, I swear." "Then explain this." I showed her the photograph Blake had found, Damon's Instagram story from his hotel room with champagne, rose petals, and 2 glasses, posted the same night she was supposedly at a marketing conference. She broke down crying, and for the first time, they seemed like genuine tears and not her usual manipulative performance. "It was a mistake. I was confused about my feelings. I love you and I want to marry you." "No, you love my paycheck and the lifestyle I provide for you, but you're still in love with Damon and probably always have been." That's when she revealed her true nature. The carefully maintained mask slipped completely, and I saw who she really was underneath all the performance. "You know what? Fine. Yes, I slept with him multiple times. He's twice the man you'll ever be. He makes 3 times what you do, and he actually knows how to treat a woman. You're just a boring salesman who got lucky with a decent job." There it was, the real Kelsey finally emerging, showing her complete contempt for me and our relationship. "And you're a cheating, manipulative gold digger who was about to lose everything." She laughed mockingly, genuinely confident in her position. "And what are you going to do? You can't prove anything that matters, and when we get divorced, I'll get half of everything you own. We're not married yet, Kelsey, and you're not getting a single cent from me." The next morning, I implemented the master plan Blake and I had developed. We had wargamed every possible scenario and decided to go scorched earth, leaving no stone unturned. First, I canceled all our joint credit cards and bank accounts. Since everything was legally in my name and I was the primary account holder, it was perfectly legitimate. Kelsey woke up to find her cards declined at her morning coffee and expensive breakfast spot. Second, I contacted every single wedding vendor, the venue coordinator, catering company, photographer, band, florist. Every contract was in my name because I had handled all the planning, negotiations, and payments. I systematically canceled everything and recouped what I could, about $6,500 of the $14,000 I had already paid in deposits and retainers. Third, I called her landlord with some very interesting information. It turns out she had been using me as a financial reference and had explicitly claimed I was contributing to the rent as her live-in boyfriend. When I informed the landlord that we were broken up and I would no longer be contributing, he was very interested to learn that she was 3 months behind on payments and facing eviction. But the true masterpiece was what Blake discovered during his final investigation that same morning. "Bro, you are not going to believe the final piece of the puzzle," he told me over the phone while I was at work dealing with the vendor cancellations. I was digging a little deeper on Damon. "What did you find now?" "He's married." My blood ran cold. "What did you just say?" "Married for 8 months to his longtime college girlfriend." I found the wedding announcement, professional photos, the marriage license, everything. "Your girl has been knowingly sleeping with a married man and destroying someone else's marriage." This changed absolutely everything. This wasn't just about a cheating fiancé anymore. I was dealing with a deliberate homewrecker who was destroying multiple relationships at once. I contacted Damon's wife that same afternoon. Her name was Madison, and she was an elementary school teacher in San Francisco, completely oblivious to her husband's affair. "Hi, Madison. You don't know me, but I think we need to talk urgently about our partners and what they've been doing behind our backs." I sent her absolutely everything we had compiled: the detailed call logs, the hotel receipts, the photographs, the social media evidence, all of it in a comprehensive package. She thanked me through tears and hung up to confront her cheating husband. Within hours, Damon's social media accounts were completely deactivated. That evening, Kelsey called me, crying hysterically. "What did you do?" Damon's wife confronted him with proof. "His company is launching a formal investigation for using corporate travel funds for personal affairs. You've ruined his entire life." I told the truth, something you've apparently never done in your entire adult life. "You have to fix this right now? Call his wife. Tell her it was all a misunderstanding." "Absolutely not. I'm done cleaning up your messes." "Jordan, please, I'll do anything. I'll throw away the locket. I'll move in with you. I'll sign a prenup. Anything you want. It's too late for all that. You made your choices." But Blake had one more devastating surprise that would complete our revenge. Remember she worked in marketing for that fashion startup? Well, I looked into her company's business relationships. Guess who one of their biggest investors and partners was? I have no idea. Who? Damon's company. They had a $2 million contract with her firm for digital marketing services. Turns out when you get caught misappropriating company funds for extramarital affairs, your employer doesn't look kindly on either your business relationships or your personal conduct. Kelsey's startup lost that contract within 48 hours. She was fired immediately 2 days later when the company discovered she had been the point of contact on the failed business relationship. In the span of a week, she had lost her job, her apartment, her married boyfriend, her financial support system, and was facing potential legal action from both Damon's wife and her former employer for her role in the business complications. She showed up at my door one last time, completely broken and desperate. "Jordan, please, I'm really, truly sorry for everything. I made terrible mistakes, but I do love you. I need help. I have nowhere to go and no money." She was still wearing the locket. "Take it off," I said calmly. "What? The locket? Take it off right now. Throw it away, and I'll consider helping you." She brought her shaking hands up to the clasp, but then she stopped. Even facing financial ruin and homelessness, she couldn't let go of Damon and what that locket represented. "No, I can't. It means too much to me." "Then we have nothing to talk about." I closed the door and watched through the window as she sat on my porch, crying desperately for 20 minutes until she finally got up and walked away into an uncertain future. Blake came over that night with Chinese food and sodas to celebrate. "So, how does it feel to completely destroy someone's life?" "Pretty satisfying. She actually deserved every bit of it." "You think she learned her lesson about loyalty and honesty?" "I doubt it. People like that never learn, they just find new victims." 6 months later, I heard from mutual friends that the fallout was even more extensive than I had imagined. Kelsey's parents had to refinance their house to pay off her debts and legal fees when Damon's wife decided to sue her for emotional distress. Her credit was completely destroyed, and she couldn't even qualify to rent a basic apartment without a cosigner. The effects were spreading out like a nuclear blast zone. Blake had followed the case through his professional networks, and the details were devastating. Damon's company fired him not just for the affair, but for misappropriating corporate funds to pay for personal travel and entertainment. The investigation revealed he had been using company credit cards for personal expenses for over a year, including the hotel stays with Qley. His professional reputation was completely destroyed, and he was facing potential criminal charges for fraud and embezzlement. Qley's startup not only lost the contract with Damon, but also two other major clients who didn't want to be associated with the scandal. The company was forced to lay off half its staff, and 6 months later, it went out of business completely. Her former boss even sued her for damages, claiming her personal conduct had directly caused the failure of the business. The last I heard through mutual friends is that Qley moved back in with her parents in their suburban home and was working part-time at a department store in the mall, struggling to make minimum wage. She had to sell her BMW and now drives her mom's old Honda Civic. Her social media presence, once meticulously curated to project success and luxury, had vanished completely. Damon was divorced and fired from his job for misconduct and embezzlement. His ex-wife, Madison, got half his assets in the divorce settlement and is reportedly much happier and more stable now. She even sent me a thank you card 6 months later, along with a picture of her new apartment and a note saying that finding out the truth had actually saved her from spending years married to a cheater and a liar. The most satisfying part was learning that Qley had to move back into her childhood bedroom, surrounded by high school trophies and boy band posters, working retail, and living under her parents' rules again at 27. Her Instagram-worthy lifestyle was completely gone, replaced by the harsh reality of a minimum wage job and crushing debt that would take her years to resolve. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.